Assalamu alaikum and a very good morning to you all. I hope you guys are doing very well today and you're ready to kickstart your day with me, Maha Mukhtoom, only on World This Morning. And today we have a very important show for you. Today we're going to be talking about interfaith harmony. We're going to be talking about peace and love. And basically, religion has been used as a divisive tool between people. It's been used to create gaps. It's been used to create a lot of animosity. And one thing that we all know is that all religions, they promoted peace, forgiveness, tolerance, and love. These are the teachings that are at the basis of each religion, and we have to remember that. Now, there's a lot of people working on these gaps and on these divides across the border and for Pakistan as well. And also they get to see what's happening in the rest of the world, and so they can actually take a look at how far are Pakistan behind in regards to religious tolerance and peace and interfaith harmony, because we know we have a lot of problems in our own homes. So let's discuss it. Let's talk about how can we bridge the gaps. Let's talk about what's going on. And we've been joined by a wonderful guest. She's been doing a lot of work with some very important people and organizations. So we've been joined by Miss Rubab Mehdi Rizvi. She is the chairperson of the International Human Rights Association. She is a lawyer. She's also a human rights defender and an interfaith campaigner. She's also worked with the All-Party Parliamentary Group on Human Rights and Religious Freedom. Assalamu alaikum, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Wa alaikum assalam. A pleasure to be here. Thank you.
So this is a huge topic, and I guess we're not going to be able to do it complete justice, but tell us, Rubab, you're here in Pakistan. First, tell us, how come you're visiting Pakistan right now?
This was a kind of an emergency visit. I'm here on a personal visit because my mother wasn't well.
Oh, sorry.
So I had to kind of leave behind, as you said, you know, the important values I had to leave behind, because December, as you know, is like a full packed month in Britain. So we are talking about, I've been busy organizing a Christmas event on the 25th of December.
Wonderful.
And that is something that is being organized by the Pakistani Muslims. And they are celebrating Christmas in the UK to celebrate the spirit of the neighbor spirit, and obviously the interfaith message, the message of hope, the message of peace. So I was involved, I actually am still involved in arranging that. And then we had a community cohesion conference. We had a meeting, you know, on Iraq as well. So it was a very full month in December, but when I heard that my mother is undergoing an operation, then obviously family comes first.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Now, let's talk about this, because human rights is it's a big scope, and we're talking about interfaith harmony as well. So when it comes to interfaith harmony, you do a lot of work within the UK to raise awareness, to bridge the gaps. So what is the narrative right now in regards to Muslims, Christians? You know, are we seeing more tolerance? What's happening? Tell us.
Maha, you know, one thing that I would like to say is that what I love about the UK is the fact that despite the recent issues that you hear and you know about, I do not sign up to a clash of civilizations, but we do hear about women wearing headscarves being attacked and all that. But what I do love about the UK is the fact that women still do have a voice. And if you have a will, then basically I'm not a parliamentarian, but I have been able to prompt 32 questions in the British Parliament.
Wonderful.
I'm not a parliamentarian, but since the last 8 years, I have been arranging through Lord Ahmed, through Baroness Warsi, through the British Muslim parliamentarians. We have been arranging conferences in the British Parliament since the last 7 years. Despite being a non-parliamentarian, I've been able to organize conferences in the Parliament on different human rights issues as well. So we have been able to bring together, so that gives a powerful message that your headscarf, my headscarf, has not been preventing me from speaking my mind. It has not been preventing me from contributing or giving back to the society.
I wanted to highlight this because, you know, this is exactly what I say, that you've managed to reach the parliament in the UK, being a Muslim, you know, being from Pakistan originally. So now this tolerance, this acceptance, and this environment where you've been able to do that. Obviously, you've traveled. You've recently in South Africa, if I'm
Yes,
correct as
I
well,
was,
and
yes.
now you're in Pakistan. So you get to see the situation in a lot of countries. In regards to the UK, I mean, we're not here to, you know, criticize Pakistan, but we have work to do. So how can we also learn to promote each other as well within Pakistan?
I think, first of all, what is important is for the women to be given their rightful position.
Right.
Because something that is very close to my heart and this is something that I say frequently in the British Parliament as well, is the word Rahman, which means an all-inclusive God. It's a God that gives to those who don't even believe in Him. That's the word Rahman. So from that word Rahman is the word Raham, which means the womb of the female.
Right.
So if essentially we are the healers, essentially a woman, if given her rightful position in the society, is a healer. And what we can, again, Maha, my question is that I take pride in the fact that I'm a woman without titles. I have been able to contribute. People do not ask me, what exactly is her title over there? They like to see my work.
Absolutely.
How have I contributed to that particular subject,
Okay.
to that particular topic? So when you start accepting women as they are, and when we can play over here at this moment in time, what role do the women have? We still have, we are 52% of the population, but we are still minorities. We still have special seats. Up until the time we have equality, and up until the time we are respected for our brains, and we are able to go forward, respecting women. You know, as Jinnah said, that, you know, there are two powers that govern the world. One is the sword and one is the pen. And there's a third power, greater than them both, and that is the power of women. Now, I think once women are given their rightful place, as you see in Britain, so as you just said, it's a woman, it's a Muslim woman, and it's a woman with a headscarf, yet she has been able to prompt all these questions. And so there is acceptance, there is tolerance. We've been able to, and then because women, when we come out of our homes, we come out selflessly. We have been bridge builders.
Okay.
So we have been able to bring together the Christians, the Jews, the Buddhists, all the different religions, because that comes naturally to us. So that is the one message that we could take in Pakistan as well, that the role of the women, and again, what we are striving for in Pakistan essentially is equality, where an equal citizenship, regardless of what religious denomination you come from. So we're talking about freedom of religion, and we're basically talking about minorities being given an equal voice as well. I mean,
Okay. So now let's talk about this. So how, so, you know, the work that you've done on interfaith harmony, how does the minorities' rights fall into that? Does that fall into that? That falls into intrafaith. That's something separate. Or are we talking about minorities from every religion that you're working with? What? Break it down for us.
Okay, so basically, it's a bit it's a totally different hat, but it is connected.
Okay.
It is connected because when you, first of all, Amaha, I would like to correct myself also, because this word minority in itself is a rather condescending word, which all of us seem to be using, because you are basically othering. Like you mentioned South Africa. One thing that I learned from South Africa was how they fought against the othering, how they fought against the apartheid. As you know, when I went over there, what struck me was the fact that the black people couldn't even enter, they couldn't even be 20 kilometers near the city where the white people lived. And how they got over it is that now they do celebrate diversity. So they have these different cultures, and now they make it a point that they have all these different days where they celebrate different cultures.
Okay.
So now what we are looking at in Pakistan, the solution that we see is that we are a democratic country. We should all be seeing each other from the lens of equal citizens rather than the minority majority aspect.
Okay.
And the way it comes, you know, basically when you're speaking, when the communities stand up for each other. For example, you see that happening in Britain also, where you see the Christians standing up for the Muslims, the
Yes.
Muslims standing up for the Christians. When you have all these communities standing up for each other in service, for example, if a community has a problem and you have stood up for them, then when you are together in service, then you can be the bridge builders as well. So
Okay.
that is how the interfaith and the human rights bit.
Okay, wonderful.
Because the reason I'm popular in my Christian brother and sisters is not simply because I've been holding events.
Right.
They do know that if there is any problem with a Christian who's on ground in Pakistan, I will be the first one who will be who they will be ringing.
Okay.
If there's a problem with the Hindu, they will ring me. So because they know that I'm accessible to them in their time of sorrows, in their hard times,
Okay.
that is where the togetherness.
Wonderful. And so, you know, this importance of these events that you guys have been holding, that you've been creating as well. Not just the events, it's about raising the awareness and the knowledge of the different people and the religions. There's a lot of campaigns that take place. You know, you have different organizations, international and national, running these awareness campaigns. As an activist and a defender yourself, how practical do you find them? Do you think they're useful?
Maha, the answer is a bit of a yes and a no. Because, you know, I would say a yes because we still, as you know, about interfaith, we are basically studying religion together.
Okay.
We are trying to understand each other. We're not trying to convert each other. We're trying to sit together, understand each other's perspective, and, you know, kind of. So in a way, it is effective because a lot of people, we think that we know about each other, but there are a lot of people who do not know much about their own religion, let alone somebody else's religion. So we are studying. It does build up a greater understanding. But the circle is so small, the interfaith circle is so small, as you would appreciate coming from UK yourself as well, that the interfaith circle is so small at this moment in time that you can exchange each other's contact details. I mean, it's the same people coming, for example, in Lambeth Palace or in Britain, British Parliament, or when these mosques hold events. It's a very small circle. Up until the time you go to the grassroots, up until the time you're able to reach the mainstream, I think it will not be as fruitful as it should be.
Okay. So do you think that they need to become more accessible to the
Oh
general
yes,
population?
I certainly believe.
But how do we do that with such a trade? I'm sorry, we are running really short of time, but how do we do that with, you know, with the demographic and with the kind of geographical, layout of Pakistan? So it's a massive task.
Well, you see, as I say, it is difficult, but somehow in our head we see the change happening. Again, I would say that the change is going to come from mainly the women have to play a very important role. Pakistan does have at this moment in time, you see, when I visited Murray last year, I saw this woman carrying this thing on her head, and she was carrying water basically. And that thing weighed around 20 kilos or something, and I had a pain in my neck for the next week or something. We are still struggling where some people do not have basic needs, they do not have water. We are a country which is the most difficult place to give birth to yet, you know, so, but that doesn't give away from, well, the women are giving birth. So we do have these challenges, but Pakistan is one of the happiest countries in the world as well. One good thing that gives me hope and encouragement in Pakistan is that they see opportunity in every challenge. And the way you can reach the mainstream, of course, is by by empowering, by educating the masses, and obviously up until the time, basically up until the time the poor, the less fortunate, sees the fruits, and up until the time they are given education, up until the time they are empowered, we are talking about creating scholarships, we are talking about creating leaderships. And recently I had hope when I met the Minister for Trade, Ehsan Iqbal. He was talking about an endowment fund, where you're talking about sending 10,000 students to America for technological education. And then I asked him about the scholarships, and he told me that there is a 15 billion endowment fund available for the less fortunate students who get into the top universities. So for those students, they will be providing scholarships. So these are the things that we kind of need, where there's a power shift.
I'm so sorry, but we've run out of time, but we will hopefully try and catch you while you're still on your holiday, but we'll try and call you back to discuss more on the women's rights and on human rights. Thank you so much for being here today.
It's been a pleasure.
But on that note, as Rubab said, we're here to understand each other, we're here to build tolerance and to bridge the gaps. And what better than having cultural exchange programs or having musical events, or, so what the Embassy of Hungary did, they invited some guests from Hungary, some geniuses who are very good musicians, and they held some concerts, and they will be holding concerts across Pakistan. So to promote positivity and harmony between the cultures and the countries, they held a concert which was held. So now what we're going to do is share a clip with you. So we're going to go for a break. When you come back, we're going to jump straight on site and show you the concert. Stay tuned.